Tough start to a 10-game road trip for the Royals, losing 2 or 3 in Cleveland and dropping the opening game tonight in New York. We'll talk about those 4 games and where the Royals can go from here to kind of right the ship as we continue on this road trip and a tough stretch. Do all that right now. One Royal way back at it here on Kansas City Sports Network. I'm Joel Penfield. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you're watching this live on YouTube or if you're watching this after the fact or listening on the audio platforms, however you consume this content, I appreciate it. A little different tonight, recording on Monday night as opposed to Sunday. Last night I was in Stillwater, Oklahoma at the Boys from Oklahoma show. Got to see all the great bands that got their start in Stillwater. Jason Boland, Stoney LaRue, Great Divide, Turnpike Troubadours, and then Cross Canadian Ragweed. It was an awesome experience, but Monday was a little tougher than Sunday. I'll put it that way. Driving back from there, and then obviously, getting caught up on some of the games from the weekend. But I appreciate the support here. Be sure to drop a comment, leave your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel on every platform. And I appreciate the support here. So we'll go ahead and just dive right in, talking about the game on Friday. So we haven't talked since the Cleveland series, so I'll start there. The news came down on Friday afternoon that Hunter Harvey is going on the injured list. I think it's the teres major, which is a muscle on the back of your shoulder. Said it's a grade 1, so they weren't too concerned about the severity. Couple weeks and he'll be back. I don't think it'll be a true 10-day. I think it'll be a 2 weeks, a rehab assignment or 2, and then back. But it sucks because he's been as lights out for this team as you could ask for, and for him to now go down with an injury, it shortens your bullpen quite a bit with the dudes you trust. It really just becomes Ursig, Estevez, and maybe Daniel Lynch. I don't know, but hopefully he's able to come back, and this isn't going to be a lingering thing, because if it is a lingering thing, then the injury stuff with Hunter Harvey is obviously concerning, and that puts it lightly for his entire Royals tenure. Steven Cruz comes up. He pitched over the weekend. I thought, he's fine in a pinch with what they need from him, as being a guy that comes up when guys are hurt and just eat innings. Yeah, I think he does a pretty solid job of that, and he's gotten better as his career has progressed. So I'm okay with what he's going to do. He's not going to pitch a bunch of high leverage innings, which is fine. You have guys that can handle those. So he's not stepping into an unfamiliar role. Survived is generous there, Curtis. I don't know if I survived. Certainly am existing in this on this earth somehow, but to what level, we're not quite there yet. But obviously a hell of an experience. The Royals lost on Friday 7-0, and it was over pretty early. You could just tell the offense just did not have it. Similar kind of story to the game on Monday night if you're listening live. Bobby had 2 hits. There wasn't much else to speak of offensively. He did walk twice as well, and we're going to see a lot of that moving forward until the offense gets better. Bobby's one of the only dudes in this lineup that can truly beat you in every single at-bat, it seems, at this point in the year. And we're still early on, so this isn't like a sweeping claim that it's going to be like this all season, but at this point, you might as well just walk him and put him on base and try and let anybody else beat you. And it didn't happen that night. He gets a couple of hits, gets some pitches to hit, but after that, he's just going to walk, and they're just going to walk him and see, all right, Vinny, let's see if you can come through here. Or, hey, let's just get Salvi up here and throw sliders in the other batter's box and see if he'll swing at him. The offense has, that could be the theme of this. Just the offense has to be better, and that's a very obvious statement. I understand, but they got to find a way through this thing. I thought Bubic still was pretty solid. Gets through 6, gives up 2 earned, 3 total. Gabriel Arias home run was the basically the difference, because that made it 3-0, and that kind of closed the book in a way. That inning just started poorly. He walked the leadoff guy, and then ball hit to India, pulls Massey off the bag, so you get an E5, and then Arias ambushes a first pitch heater over to right, and it was gone off his bat. He knew it, and that was ultimately the difference. And a tough start to a road trip. When you still get a pretty good performance out of your starting pitcher, he only gives up 3. You still feel like you got a chance to win the game. They chased Bybee in the 5th, but it ultimately didn't matter. They went to Smith, Heron, and Gaddis to their guys outside of Class A, and game was the game. They lose again on Saturday, lose 6-3. Lorenzen gave you a pretty solid fifth starter type outing, gets into the sixth, scatters 3 runs, strikes out 5. Again, for what the Royals are asking of him, as I'll continue to mention, he's doing the job. He's doing his job every single start. And it's respectable, it's commendable for what they're paying him, for what they're asking of him. And I don't have too many complaints with him. Luis Ortiz carved him up 17 swings and misses. I think he had 10 strikeouts. I'm pulling up the actual number, but it was just not pretty. 5 2/3, 10 strikeouts, only gave up the 1 run, and it was a Vinny home run. Vinny had 3 hits on the day. If you want to go on the positive side of this game, maybe that's the game that kind of gets him rolling a little bit. He is a fairly streaky hitter. He's never gonna, even when he's slumping, it's not like it's 0 for 15. It's an 0 for 15 with 10 strikeouts. It's not that. It's a lot of 0 for, maybe over a 20 plate appearance sample, and maybe like a 2 for 18 with a, 2 for 16 with a bunch of walks, a handful of strikeouts, productive outs, and things like that. But there are games when he's able to really get on some balls, and maybe seeing one go over the fence for the first time since opening day gets him going a little bit. He had another hit on Sunday as well. Nothing tonight, but again, we'll get to that in a minute. And there just wasn't much to speak of outside of that. You're down 6-1, or down. I think it was only 3-1 in the 8th, and being down, they weren't going to go to Ursig, they weren't going to go to Estevez. The only dude that was really available after the previous night was Sam Long, and he wore 1 again. Gave up 3, walked 2, struck out 1, and basically put the game out of reach. They were able to grab a couple of runs off Emmanuel Clase again in the 9th, but because of the 3 runs given up, it was just kind of all for naught. And Salvi came through, Vinny came through, or Salvi came through with one of those, Michael came through, but it's just kind of an afterthought when those runs are given up. And it felt like that was going to be the end of the book on Sam Long one way or another. But then the news comes down on Sunday morning. He's headed to the injured list with left elbow inflammation. My apologies. Evan Sisk comes up. He'll make his major league debut whenever he gets out there. I'd imagine we see him in the Yankees series at some point. And a guy that probably a little bit long time coming. When was he going to make his debut? He's been productive at AAA for a couple of years now. Really, really solid last year. Had a decent start to this season. Crossfire, low slot lefty, so it just brings another element. Not a huge strikeout guy, so it's kind of like a lefty John Schreiber situation. I'll plead the fifth on whether that is the case or not. Reed said it's a phantom IL. I am not going to make that claim. That is not my place to do that. If that's how you guys want to see fit, have your opinion. I will just go with it's an elbow injury. And now whether we see Sam Long again after a rehab assignment, I don't know. I'm going to go with, I imagine that he does come back whenever but elbows are tricky. So this could be longer than a 15-day, which I would not be shocked by. Just trying to be careful, and they have depth. So it's not like they have to rush him back. I mean, the dude's got a near 13 ERA. There's no reason to rush him back for any reason. I don't know if this necessarily closes the book on him with the Royals, but I guess we'll see. We'll go ahead and talk about the game on Sunday. Then we're just going to kind of fly through this a little bit. We got more to talk about than just, the game. We can get a little narrative with it. Cole Reagans threw a freaking masterpiece on Sunday. 7 2/3, 2 runs, only 1 of those earned. No walks, 10 strikeouts, 20 whiffs, 38% called strike whiff rate. Doing ace Cy Young type stuff. Everything this team needs of him every 5th day, he's going to go out and provide. And for him, it's not just the dominance, because we see that, even if it's 5 or 6 innings, he's still a very dominant pitcher, dominant strikeout pitcher. He has command issues from time to time, which is sometimes just a little bit of who he is at this point, and it's not something I'm necessarily you're gonna change. The difference for him this year, I don't know if anybody's noticed it or looked for it because we kind of expect to hear, a couple walks a game from him. You just kind of bake that into his starts. Strikeouts walk ratio through 4 starts this year is 34-4. That's great for him. That is insane. 3 straight outings of 6+ innings, air of 10+ strikeouts, which is only the second time that's happened in Royals history. To have 3 consecutive outings of that, I mean, just flat out incredible. And he had 2 walks on opening day and only 3 strikeouts. And so, obviously a weird start, but in the 3 starts since, 31 strikeouts, 2 walks. If he's going to command the ball like that, he's going to compete for a Cy Young because his ability to prevent runs, prevent, serious contact. You combine that with the strikeout numbers and not allowing free passes. It changes how we, view Cole Ragans as not just this is the best pitcher on our team. It's this dude's flat out one of the best pitchers in baseball. I want to see him continue to do it. It's a 3-start sample of, 2 walks over, what is it, 14, like 19 and 19, 20 innings ish. I'm bad at math, and now is not the time where my brain is going to function from a mathematical perspective. But again, like for what he's able to do for this team, it's pretty damn remarkable. I'm going to. I might drop a little future on him, Cy Young, even if the odds are still are maybe short at this point. I don't really care. Like I think it's a worthy bet at this point if he's in a pitch like this. There's no doubt about it. And he worked around just a silly play. Just unbelievably silly. Felt like that was going to be the story. Ball gets hit. It's Daniel Schneemann, who, what was his WRC plus on the year? I need to see this because I know, and because I don't look at batting average hardly at all, that it was like 085. So I want to see what the plus stat is here just for giggles. Going into yesterday, it was 41, or after yesterday, it was 41 WRC plus. And he gets the hit. He hits the ball over MJ's head. Expected batting average on it was not pretty, so maybe it was able to be caught. I don't know. Gets the ball in, and Bobby just uncorks one to the backstop, and 2 runs score when it should have been 1 for sure. It's 1 for sure. You can work around that, and then it's 2, and it's like, hot dog it, man. Like, what are we gonna do here? This can't be the type of stuff that this team does. If you're not going to be that great offensively, you still got to have 2 of the 3. They have the pitching, but the defense has to be better. And it was a huge part of the story in Cleveland because India's, missing a, throw to Massey at third directly led to a 3-run homer instead of, a 2 or a solo. Maybe it's a solo shot and we're having a different conversation about the way that game is played out. You have a terrible throw from, your best defender, obviously, just makes a terrible mistake. It slips out of his hand and just arm side run up and away. And, it looked like the game could get sideways on him. And credit to this team, and then maybe this is just the steadying presence that Cole Ragans has, that they were able to get out of it. Salvi comes up the next inning and hits a home run and gets those runs right back. And then Michael comes up, and credit to him. He hit at the bottom of the order most of the year. Indy is out with I think it was a calf. Calf was barking a little bit. And he was back in the lineup today, so it's not like we don't have too many injury concerns with that right now. He's just obviously a little bit banged up from getting hit in the face, and then a little, I think it was a quad. But he comes up, gets 3 knocks, and a huge double to give the Royals the lead. And in both instances, and this to me is the biggest thing to bring it back to Cole Ragans for a moment, it is so important for your starter, especially your ace, when you give them runs, that they go out and shut it down the next inning. And Cole Ragans did that both times. Salvi goes out, hits the home run, ties the game. 1, 2, 3 inning, no problem. Out of the inning, no chance for the Guardians to get any sort of momentum back. And then they take the lead. And Cole Ragans comes out and gets 3. I think he struck out the side right after that. Like, that's the type of stuff that an ace does, that a Cy Young contender does. For him to go out and do that, you felt pretty confident they were going to win that game. He gets into the 8th, and he ends up he gets into the eighth. Ursig comes in, blows 99, gets out of the inning, and then Estevez does his job. And it's a little sketchy, but not near as bad. Gives up a single to Stephen Kwan. Okay. The only downside of that is then you have Jose Ramirez coming up after that. It's like, oh boy. Punches him out, 97 top of the zone, which again, the velo is getting there for him. And then 2 more strikeouts ends the game. It strikes out the side after giving up the leadoff hit. Pitching and defense wins you games. Offense does just enough. It seems like that's going to be their formula for now. And that's what it has to be until they figure out the offensive stuff. We'll talk about the Yankees game very briefly because there ain't much to talk about from that one specifically right after this.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Are you ready to win some real cash during the basketball playoffs? Well, check out Pick 6 from DraftKings. When it comes to basketball payouts, DraftKings Pick 6 posterizes the competition. And yeah, that includes prize picks. Hit all your picks and score higher minimum payouts on Pick 6, plus even more cash if you outscore the competition. Pick 6 is available in most states, including Missouri, California, Texas, Georgia, and more. New players get 50 in Pick 6 credits instantly on just a $5 entry. Here's what you got to do. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN for new customers to play $5. Get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Sure, be sure to hit that like button and the subscribe button on all platforms, especially if you're watching this on YouTube. I would appreciate it. Be sure to hit the notification bell so you know when we go up and live a couple times a week throughout the week for at least 2 of the 3 episodes. We try and go live for these. I'm not exactly sure how the rest of the week is going to work. I'm trying to figure out how to format it properly so that it makes sense, whether to do it after the Cleveland series or after this series in New York and then do it. I'll figure it out. But you guys will know it. I'll post about it on social as we go forward. Royals continue their road trip, and they head up north to the New York Yankees. First game tonight in the Bronx, and they lose 4-1. They had 2 hits. Bobby had both of them. And a couple of base runners. Took some walks. If we want to talk about pitch, being able to be selective and work a couple walks, we have that. But outside of that, man, there wasn't much to speak of. They had a chance in the first. India walks, Vinny walks, and then Massey pops out, and Salvi strikes out. Massey pops out, and that's the inning. And that was really one of their only threats until the 9th inning, when they again Salvi works a walk, and Massey's able to come up, and again he pops out. Michael, to his credit, hit the crap out of a ball, but he's hit it right to somebody and left. Seems like that's been kind of emblematic of his season to this point. To his credit, he's still barreling balls up. Unfortunately, half the time his barrels are just right at people. I wish he would, just hit more sinking liners instead of those kind of rising ones. Seems like that's where he's at. They had a chance tonight to at least get out of the funk a little bit. Carlos Carrasco's on the mound, he's not the same pitcher that he was obviously in his prime. He's on the backside of his career. He's starting because they have so many freaking injuries in their rotation that he has to start. 7.5 ERA, 7.71 ERA, excuse me. And he gets through 5, only gives up to 1, which was the home run to Bobby, and 10 swings and misses. And I mean, he was carving them up. It's almost like very rarely am I going to come up here and say this is inexcusable. This is, and obviously I can be frustrated, but I have to be a little more measured about it. You guys are fans. And I'm a fan too, but I have, obligations to be a little more measured and kind of even keel about it. But tonight is about as inexcusable as you get from an offensive perspective. When you have that type of hitter in that offensive environment, or that pitcher in that offensive environment, you got to be able to come through. You have to be able to put runs up on the board. And because the Yankees are going to bang. Those dudes hit home runs. They tagged Lugo for 4 solo shots. And that's the difference. And I thought Lugo pitched fine. He was able to get into the 6th, which, to his credit, you'll take that because saves the bullpen a little bit when he really did not have his best command here. Let me get his line. Frankly, I watched very little of this game. I caught bits and pieces. I was, catching up with the family. My son wanted to go out and hit the ball on the tee. As he's starting T-ball, wanted to go hit. And I was like, I'm not going to turn that opportunity down. Let me get the box score here. I apologize. So Lugo got into the 7th. My apologies. 4 strikeouts, 2 walks, the 4 Ernies, and they were all on solo home runs. To Jazz, he's been awful since that opening series. He gets 1. And then you give up 3 in 1 inning to Ben Rice, Trent Grisham, and who's the other one? Austin Wells. And they're all those 3 dudes. All they do is pull the ball, and they're going to pull it down that line. And if they elevate it, it's gone. And you miss with 3 fastballs on the inner half, and they get their barrel to it, and it's gone. To me, it was either a hard-headedness with the game plan or just a lack of execution or some combination of the two. But from a pitcher like Seth Lugo, it's frustrating when you see that same mistake 3 times. Hopefully, and I know Lugo's a pro's pro. He's going to brush it off, and he's going to go back out and probably have a really good start in the next one. I would not be shocked by that. And we'll see him again later this week in Detroit. I'd imagine, it's a little more, that ballpark's a little more cavernous. Maybe it plays a little bit better for him. I'm hoping that's the case. But not a good night all the way around. And this team needs to be better. I have a feeling they're going to be able to brush this one off, which is something to their credit. That's why I tweet on it tomorrow. For anyone that may wonder, why I don't get fired up, frustrated, I follow the way this team has acted for a year plus now. They are very much all right, hey, win or loss, especially on losses. Hey, we flush it. We come back tomorrow. It's a brand new day. We can't let it linger. They didn't do a lot of that last year, and it seemed to work for them, considering the turnaround. So I'm gonna follow that mentality because that's the way the team is, and we'll see how they come out tomorrow, and if they're able to really flush, what happened tonight offensively, and giving up the 4 solos and not let that linger on the pitching side either. Curtis in chat, other than the continued patience in it's early in the season, what confidence should us fans have in this offense over the totality of the season, or is it just those 2? I do think there is still elements of it is early because they play so many of these games. It's bound to even out at some point, especially some of the hard hit stuff. And you have enough hitters in this lineup now, especially with India, Vinny, that are they're going to work plate appearances. Bobby he's getting better about working plate appearances and not being super as aggressive. He's able to kind of control it and pick his spots, and he's getting rolling. And when he gets rolling, this offense can kind of pick up. Sal, I think, getting the home run yesterday, maybe that gets him going a little bit after he had been scuffling. But I thought coming into the year 5 through 9, or at least 6 through 9 might be the issue. It might be a little bit concerning now. I say that as a general, part of the order. But Garcia has been good. They just kept him at the bottom of the order to have some semblance of balance in the lineup. And one of the guys I had a ton of confidence in coming into the year, that I thought the way he ended the year, the way he played in the playoffs, that he was going to be a difference maker and kind of take that next step in his career, and that was Michael Massey. 62 plate appearances so far this year. Michael Massey has a 22 weighted runs created plus. 22. I know that obviously MJ has caught a bunch of ire from this fan base, and some of that obviously the performance bears out, is deserved. And it's not like he's been any better. He didn't play tonight, but it's a negative 13 weighted runs created plus. And I don't know how much longer that can sustain for obvious reasons. And we can dive into this a little bit more. I literally put on my Google Doc just where do we go from here, and I figured you guys in the chat live and enough of baseball knowledge in my brain to be able to find some narrative to follow here. And Hunter Renfroe, it's a 6. Now 6 weighted runs created plus. You're getting from your outfield, so that's 2 of your 3 starting outfielders, and then Kyle Isbell, who actually has hit the ball fairly well in the last few games, and worked a good plate appearance tonight. It's at least a 93. That you at least have that from him. Now, whether he's going to be able to sustain a 93 over a full season, there's no shot. He's not that for his career. He had 81 last year, 75 the year before. Like, he's a guy that if he sticks around 80 to 85 with his defensive value, you can live with it at the bottom of the lineup, but you can't live with that on top of what MJ's doing and Hunter Renfroe at the bottom of your entire outfield basically being automatic outs most of the time. It can't continue. Now, to get back to your point, Curtis, what the confidence should we have that in the offense over the totality of the season is because there's a pretty good shot that by mid-season this offense is going to look entirely different. Whether it is Jack Caglione hits his way to the big leagues, which I am still skeptical of, but I'm not going to rule it out because he continues to hit in Double-A, and I don't know how much longer he would end up in Double-A. You have that combined with the ability to make trades and acquisitions to make this team better, and JJ's willingness to do that. Because even though the part of the team is different, last year we had these conversations about the bullpen, right? When it came to their ability to just explode at any time, and cost this team a lot of games early in the season because of a reliance on Chris Stratton, Will Smith to handle high leverage innings, and John Schreiber as well. Well, now, by mid-season, they make the trade for Ursig. They're able to kind of move some stuff around, and by the end of the year, you had a pretty darn good bullpen. By the ability to go and make trades, acquisitions, and improve your roster in season. So it's not like we're just stuck with this. We are kind of for right now. And the reason why I say that, even though I do believe that I think at this point, MJ needs to get optioned and just get right, because it has been so bad for most of the season, pretty much all of it outside of a handful of plate appearances, that the problem is that the other guys that are in AAA, like, I don't know how much more of a difference maker they are. They bring up Drew Waters, and he looks like essentially the same dude that we saw in the big leagues last year and the year before. Like, he kind of is what he is. I'm interested in John Rave, but I also think that he's probably not an everyday big league type guy. Now, you may not need that from him. Maybe they just need a spark for 2 weeks, and he can be that guy. They kind of wanted to do that with like CJ Alexander last year, Tyler Gentry, and those it didn't pan out for either of those guys. And speaking of Tyler Gentry, I think he's just kind of capped out what he is, and I think that's just or depth quad A guy. Nick Prado is not hitting at all in Omaha, and neither really is Nelson Velasquez. I'll find those slash lines just so you guys know, because I know that people have kind of done like what about. Nick Prado slashing a $118, 231, 147 slug with a 38.5% strikeout rate. It's a 16 weighted runs created plus. It's just not going to happen for him. If they want to try and maybe you make a DFA or a roster move and get Nelson Velasquez. Well, Nelson Velasquez, let me see if I can get his minor league numbers. So I'm not pulling up here. Here we go. I apologize. I just had to hit I had to hit a different tab here. He's slashing $167, 278, 267 with a 36% strikeout rate and a 58 weighted runs created plus. Their options for like quick fixes at the minor league level are really just not there. It's AA is where they'd have to pull from. And that, Gavin Cross is the immediate name that can play a corner outfield spot. Slashing 273, 375, 333, no home runs yet. He's got 2 extra base hits, 99 weighted runs created plus, strikeout rates at 28.5% after that's up 3% from last year. Now it's only 40 plate appearances, so a hot streak can change that. If we do have one benefit, though, he is walking 15%. And I would say, hitting behind Carter Jensen and Jack Caglione certainly does help a little bit. If you want your Cags update, because I know that you all do, he hit another home run backside 406 last night, slashing 289, 356, 579 slug with a 135 weighted runs created plus and 22% strikeout rate, which I'll take. Strikeout rate and the walk rate is 11%. For perspective, he walked less than 6% in high A last year. Only walked 7 times in 126 plate appearances, and now he's walked 5 times in 38. So we're just at a point where they're going to have to just figure this out. And I hate to kind of dance around it, but I just don't see the fix that everyone wants to look for. I think there's a lot of in the fan base right now, just like make this change, but I don't think there's any thought of like the reverse of like what needs to happen actually for those things to occur. Maybe I think the most obvious move is just optioning MJ. And at this point, it's purely just for his mentals. Like I can't imagine what it's like to be 4 years into the big leagues and be this lost as you're trying to figure things out as a young ball player, or not even really young, like he's in year 4, but like, you know what I mean? Like a guy that's just searching and searching and searching. And it's not for lack of trying. That dude is trying everything he can and just nothing seems to be working. He's changed his stance. He's changed where his feet are, his hands. And it's just nothing is really working for him. And it's hard when that's the case, when you know that you're working hard, and you're doing everything you can, and it just doesn't work. Now, the Royals did do something similar to this with another guy, and I'm not comparing the two because one guy had a hell of a big league career and a pretty solid big league career, and one did not, as not to this point. But Mike Moustakas in 2014 was a disaster. It was not pretty, and I know that everyone that followed those teams knows that. And they sent him down to Omaha. He was in year 4. He was 25. I think MJ is the exact same age or pretty close to it. They sent him down, and he wasn't down long. And I remember he got sent down, and then he, what am I forgetting? And then he came right back up because of an injury. Like it wasn't. They didn't even. I don't even think they really wanted to bring him back up, but they did, and it seemed like that just little reset of just seeing some lesser pitching and just seeing some stuff go your way, it did wonders. And he kind of took off, and he had a solid, run there in Kansas City in the first part of his career in Milwaukee. After that, he hit 284 with an 817 OPS in 2015. And then he missed most of 16, but came back in 17, 835 OPS and 38 homers. I'm not saying that MJ is going to be that guy. I don't think he's able to tap into the 41 homers he hit back in 21. I don't think he's that guy, obviously. But I do think they're like the talent, the work ethic, there's something there to work with. I don't know if it's going to happen. Just continuing to send him out there at the big league level with a 37% strikeout rate and just searching for everything right now. So I don't know. Like there's a lot that needs to happen, but whether those things actually are done are kind of two different conversations at this point. The good news is that the pitching is going to be able to keep them in a lot of these games. We saw it tonight. I mean, even Lugo gets into the 7, gives up 4 solos, and you still feel like he had a chance because it's only 4. Or you're only down 3. You're able to just kind of stay in it. It's 3-1 in the 6th. You still feel like you have a chance. The offense just has to come through. And they have enough talented dudes on this team still. And I know that everyone's kind of down on it right now. I understand that. obviously. We've seen a really rough offensive stretch to begin the season. But part of this is not all the offense is going to look the same by midseason because they'll have to go. They'll have to make moves, and I don't think they're going to be moving in the other direction. But just with the way that the division's going to play out, because Detroit is up right now, but I don't think they're going to run away with it. Cleveland's going to hang around. The Royals are going to hang around. No one's really going to run away with this division. They'll be in it the whole year, I believe, at least. So we'll see where it goes. It's obviously a frustrating stretch. You're playing playoff teams. You're playing teams you need to beat, and you're not doing it. It's just not good enough, and this team knows that. That's, me saying that is not a new concept to them. They know how good they can be, what their potential is. They just have to reach it, and we'll see where it goes. I have confidence that they're going to find a way to figure it out. They did last year. They went through stretches like this offensively and still found ways to win games and get themselves in the playoffs. I have no reason to believe at this point that this team can that they're going to be able to do the same thing. I believe they're going to. I have no reason to believe they can't. That was the phrase. Took me a second to get there. Again, my brain's running a little slow today, but I appreciate it. Garcia already looks like he's moving in the right direction. Levi, I agree. I want to continue to see a bigger sample, but it really does seem like he's going to continue to play well. The plate appearances are good. It seems like he's refined his approach. He's finding the barrel a whole bunch, and that over the course of a full season will work wonders for you. We'll see where it goes. And maybe he is hitting 5 or 6 later in the year and, a couple of things shift around. And I think what it really is going to take is them just to have 1 or 2 big offensive games in a row, or like in 3 games, bust out for 6+ and just feel like, okay, let the floodgates open a little bit. And because there is a certain amount of, people talk about hitting being a contagious thing. And I do believe that is true. You play enough baseball, you see it. With it being just one game with a hit parade for a few innings, like, okay, a little bit of weight off the shoulders. We can hit. We can hit balls, and they're going to fall, and they're going to fall in the grass, and they're going to go over the fence, and we can do this. Like there's a certain element of that too. So we'll see how it goes. I appreciate everybody coming through tonight. I would toast game. I'm still going to Cole Reagan's, but this is water because God knows I'm not going anywhere near alcohol for at least the next 5 to 7 business days. Cole Reagan's and obviously a spectacular performance on Sunday when they needed it most. They couldn't get swept by Cleveland, and he goes out there and throws one of the best games of his career, in my opinion. 10 strikeouts, gets into the 8th inning, I believe for this first time as a Royal, and continues to work on that Cy Young campaign. So shout out Cole Reagan. We'll be back later this week. I imagine it will be Wednesday night after the Cleveland series. Or, God dog it. Why do I keep saying Cleveland? After the New York series, that ends. In that game, let me check the times. I know that they play on Wednesday, but I don't know if it is a day game or not, and I want to verify that before I definitively say a time. So it's a 6:05 first pitch on the 6:05 first pitch on Wednesday. So we'll do same sort of thing, like 15 minutes after the game ends. We'll hop on here and record, and then we'll probably do another one on Thursday night after the first game of the Detroit series and preview the weekend. So we still get our 3 episodes in for the week. I appreciate everybody's support here. Thank you for letting me ramble for about 39 minutes when I was not as prepared as I would like to be. I appreciate everybody still hanging with me, hopping in the chat, and liking the video on YouTube. Be sure to do so after the fact if you're watching this, and be sure to go subscribe on all audio platforms. And I will talk to y'all after this Yankee series. Hopefully we got a couple of wins to talk about, and it's not so doom and gloom in the middle of April. I appreciate everybody. Talk to you later.